Hey guys, Chris Boule here from Esperlux, broadcasting from Geneva Watch Days. Super excited to have Max Buser on with us today. Max, great to see you again. You are one of the instigators, as you called yourself, of Geneva Watch Days. How are things going? How's the show going? Obviously, some exciting announcements today. Tell us a little bit more.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Geneva Watch Days was created 3 years ago when actually Watches and Wonders was cancelled in February 2020. And the same day I get a message, a phone from Patrick Prugniot from UNGP who says, oh, we have to do something together. I'm like, yeah, sure, but I mean, UNGP, MB&F, that's not going to go very far. He says, yeah, let's call a few good friends. 2 hours later, Jean-Christophe Babin calls me, and I'm still in Dubai on my cell phone, like, oh, I've spoken with Patrick, let's do something. I'm like, wait a minute. The CEO of LVMH has just spoken with the CEO of Van Kering, and they want to do something together. Let's do this. And we started, and I love this project. I love this project because this is what watchmaking should be about. It's about completely decentralized, everybody does whatever they want, and everybody enjoys meeting up. At the end of the day, if you go under the tent, if you've been there, all of us in the industry are talking to each other. We're having fun talking to each other. It's not a war. Yeah. It's what it used to be. And we've sort of regathered that. And so everything's doing great because you do know that the industry is doing pretty well, especially us independents. So there's zero commercial pressure. So a lot of my colleagues tell me, maybe we shouldn't do Geneva Watch Days because we've already got 3-5 years waiting list. Well, why are we here? That's not the point. The point is we're here. Yeah. We're talking to each other. Yeah. We're actually talking. We're actually having great coffees and teas and drinks and speaking to friends and exchanging about an industry and products that we love. And it's not about being digital anymore. It's regaining our humanity. That's what Geneva Watch Days is about.
Yeah. And seeing each other, right? I mean, we were locked up for so long, and this is nice. This is a great opportunity for people to just see each other and be together.
And hold the watches in your hands.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. Actually see them. As there's nothing left in any stores, and you're waiting for years now to get a piece. It's opened up to the public, so we've got 2 of the guys of the team. Anybody who comes to the suite, you want to see us, and it's also a 20 calibers and 17 years exhibition, so you can actually see the whole history of the brand. So if you come over, and we'll take you through the pieces, you can touch them, you can wear them. That's why we do what we do.
Yeah. It's also an opportunity. I mean, if you ever come to visit, and you also can see the MB&F gallery. You can just visit and see the horology culture, in Geneva. So and
not only us. I mean. Yeah. Orwerk, De Bethune, Moser, everybody, we're all here. We're all actually all in this hotel, more or less. Yeah. And you just walk around and you bump into people which you don't see us much, do we? In the last 3 years, we haven't been traveling. It's a great moment.
Yeah, it's my first time at Geneva Watch Days, and it's been, well, as relaxing as it can be, given that we got to go around and see everybody, but it's definitely got a little bit of a relaxing feel to it. Sure. Even though we still have to work, but at the end of the day, this is fun. We're lucky to be doing this for a living, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of cool stuff this year. Well, maybe not a lot of cool stuff, but it's very cool. I want to maybe start with the first piece that was released. I can't see from the back. Nope, that is the existing Perpetual calendar. And do we have a chronograph here? Yeah, perfect. So maybe we can start talking about the chronograph.
How many hours do you have?
Well, hey, listen, I can be here all day. I enjoy our conversations. So however long you want to talk about it.
Story of the EVO line. Yeah. So the Perpetual was created in 2015. It's this incredible genius, Stephen McDonnell, who spent 5 years of his life reinventing this caliber. And I've been wearing my Perpetual for years. I love it. I live in Dubai. Yeah. And in Dubai, what we do these things called staycations. Mm. So you go with the kids and take a weekend at a hotel, even though you are there. And they've got great amenities. They've got the pools and everything. And so you're there with your kids. And when you're with kids, you meet other people. When you're all alone in a swimming pool, you don't actually go up to people and speak to them. But when you've got kids, it's like dogs. Yeah. You actually meet all sorts of people. And when I'm in the pool, I'm wearing everything except an MB&F. So people come up and, yeah, what are you doing? And I'm a watch creator. And like, oh, you're Mr. Rolex? You're Mr. Tudor? You're Mr. Zinn? You're Mr. Piguet? And no. And I'm feeling like, oh. So that's why I created that EVO case. Put, of course, the watch, which I loved the most in those days, which was the Perpetual. And that's how it started, the whole line. But then, in the meantime, over the last 4.5 years now, we've been working on the chronograph. So the story of that piece is Stephen has finished the Perpetual. We're in Dubai in November 2016 for Dubai Watch Week. He's come to present the caliber to all the fans. And I take him out to dinner. And I've just bought a Tiffany pocket watch, split-second chronograph, which I love. I just got it at Christie's. I'm super proud. I'm showing him on my phone. And Stephen goes like, yeah. He doesn't have much filter. And I'm like, okay, so you're not impressed? He said, it's just not that I'm not impressed. It's just split-second chronographs make no sense. Chronographs basically make no sense. Yeah. What are you talking about? He says, well, first of all, any chronograph, when you start the chronograph, you lose 30 degrees amplitude. I won't get into the technical thing, but there's a reason to that, where you've got a spring which is loading it, and just when you start it, the spring loads it and goes against your amplitude. So when you need the more precise measuring of your movement, you've got less precise. On top of that, usually the counters of minutes jump every minute on a chronograph, usually not all of them, and then you lose another 20 degrees. And he said, don't get me started on split seconds, because seriously, with all the clutches, it's a disaster, it's a train wreck in amplitude. So basically, you've got a time measuring device which is hyper unprecise the moment you need it.
Which is made to be super precise to time things.
Exactly. And so I'm like, okay. And it's interesting because we all know that chronographs lose amplitude when we start them, but as all of them do that, you just take it for granted. Yeah. But because he didn't go to watchmaking school and he taught himself, he's like, this doesn't make any sense. So anyway, I'm like, do you have a solution to this? He's like, I'm working on something. January 2018, he comes back to us and he says, look, I've found a way, I think, of creating a chronograph which doesn't lose any amplitude when you start it. Really? And he comes with this design. So in all humbleness, I have done virtually nothing on this product. It's like the two watches which will be most remembered for at MB&F is the Perpetual and the chronograph, and I have nothing to do with them. So it's a great lesson of humility for me. And so he basically
partnering with exceptional watchmen.
Finding the people and working with them.
That's true. In true MB&F fashion,
so that's
right?
exactly it. Yeah. And he comes with this idea of two independent chronographs, which are not only independent, but they're also linked, which is also world premiere. So you've got 4 different functions, and I'm not going to take too much time, but two of them have never been done in any chronograph. On top of that, it remains super precise. On top of that, it's just stunning to look at. Completely integrated, 585 components, all hand angle. You see the interior angles, all the engraving is still done by hand, the beautiful rose gold Chatonnet. We've really upped the game even more on this. There you go. And this was launched on the 31st of May of this year. So that's the second piece in the EVO lineup. And then
that was the first one being the Perpetual.
The first one being first Perpetual, second the sequential. And third, now we just unveiled yesterday the split escapement. So you say that 3 is a family. So the family is here. It's gone very quickly when you think about it, because the first EVO Perpetual came out in November 2020. So it's been like a year and a half. Come out with 3 calibers. So then a lot of people are saying, when is the 101 coming out? I'm like, guys, give us some time. Now we've just created 3 EVOs in 18 months. We're a small company which crafts like barely 20 watches a month. And now we're going to take a breather. So this latest launch is the split escapement. The split escapement is a spin-off of the Perpetual, meaning the Perpetual calendar, when we created it, when Stephen created it, one of the defining characteristics was that the balance wheels on top and the escapement is behind. That was a world premiere. Nobody'd ever done that.
That was born out of necessity, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We didn't want it that way.
Yeah.
It's just that very quickly at the beginning of the process, we're talking of 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Stephen came to me and he says, "Do you really want that flying balance wheel?" Yeah, of course. I mean, that's what we do in Legacies. But he's like, "Okay, well, I can't put the escapement. There's just too much happening here." So that's it. It's to finish. We stop the project. He's like, maybe we can try something else. Now you have to realize that for like 4 centuries, we know that it's like Laurel and Hardy. The escapement and the balance wheel have to be next to each other, and it's a given. He says like, but maybe we could try something else. Maybe we could put the escapement at the back. I'm like, are you insane? The staff of the axis is 11.7 millimeters. The balance wheel is 14 millimeters. So you imagine, it's as if you had a balance wheel double the size of this room. Now you imagine, like double the size of this room, and that the pillar, which makes it turn, is 3 floors up. And it turns actually on pivots which are 0.2 of a millimeter. So on that scale, it would be turning on pivots which are this size.
Yeah.
And you got this balance wheel. It's like, how is that ever going to work? And we tried, and we managed. So you need extraordinary machining, you need super zero tolerance, and you need, of course, a great watchmaker to make it work.
Sure, yeah.
So it worked. But then when we presented the Perpetual calendar, there were so many other world premieres which completely overshadowed that. And basically nobody talks about it. So I took it one step further and said, maybe we should dedicate a product to that split escapement. And we did. And we did the Legacy Classic in split escapement. Was it a big success? Not really. So everything sold out more or less. And then last year, actually Mohammed Siddiqui, a year and a half ago, Mohammed Siddiqui asked me he's the owner of our Mad Gallery in Dubai. We would need a piece for the 50th anniversary of the Emirates. Like we do very, very, very few limited editions for anybody.
That's a great occasion for it.
I was like, okay, I'll try it because every big brand did something. Yeah. And so we worked with him, and originally it was going to be a classic split escapement. And it's his idea, and I give him total credit, of turning the movement around 30 degrees. He said, what about if we turn the movement around? I was like, oh, because I'm a symmetrical animal. Virtually everything I design, except for the 101, is very symmetric.
Spot on, yeah.
And he said, I was like, well, why not? And then I was like, why don't we put it in the Evo case? Like, oh, let's try. And we did a few pieces for that event, and it went under the radar. A few of the aficionados heard about it.
It was really nice.
But
yeah.
It was like, just, okay, we'll do it just for you. Like, shh, please don't talk to anybody about it.
Then everybody and their mother's going to want.
And then, of course, the Instagram went wild. Yeah. And then we're like, maybe we have to do it for a bigger public. And so that's what we're unveiling now. So it's an Evo with the whole completely water resistant 80 meter screwed down crown, a flex ring system, which means the movement is on a system which amortizes shocks.
For the shock absorber.
Because you've got a 18,000 oscillations an hour movement with a balance wheel of 14 millimeters, so it's not exactly a sports watch.
Yeah,
it's not the first thing.
Still a big balance.
You need to keep it.
Sure.
You amortize it. Titanium case. The system, of course, which Stephen had introduced already on the Perpetual, that you can't block your movement with changing the date. So there's a system with a clutch that just when the date is changing, if you press the button, that you're going to block your movement in any normal watch. In this case, it doesn't. And so we're going to try to craft 20 pieces this year, and then about 40 pieces a year of that piece.
But then you also have a really cool limited edition piece that you're doing for the opening of
the MB&F Beverly Hills MBNF Lab.
That's right.
So
very exciting.
So that's the whole new. We're coming out with a new project called the NBNF Labs, which are they're much more than an MB&F boutique, but they're less complicated than a Mad Gallery. Mm-hmm. Mad Gallery is a big organization. You've got 30 artists. It's not easy to manage because artists are artists. So they tend to, our franchisee partners go a little bit nuts with them.
More difficult than watchmakers?
Yes, there is, which seems amazing, by the way, but actually more difficult. And so basically, it'll be MB&F, MB&F design products, which for the moment are clocks and music boxes, but you're going to see a lot of other creations we're working on with other worlds. And art pieces, but we will deal with them, we Geneva, and we'll put the art pieces for them so they don't have to deal with the artists.
So you curate the art.
And we actually are in contact with the artists, we deal with everything, and
great.
We're the physical contact point of our partners. So
fantastic.
So we're launching to thank the Simonian family, was supposed to be the first one opening, but the California regulations are a little bit more complicated than what we thought. So it's actually going to be the third one opening. So the first one opening is going to be in Singapore next week at the Raffles Hotel with our friends from the Hourglass. Then early October, we're opening in Paris with our friend Laurent Pichotto of Chronopassion. And then it's opening in California in Beverly Hills with the Simonians, the West Time. And so we've got a limited edition for them, which is the same watch, but instead of having a light blue base, it's a black base. And for the first time, the dials are a bit electric blue, which is the West Time blue. Yeah. And it's pretty cool also, very cool.
Very cool.
So there you go. Pretty. I've talked a lot, haven't I? I'm sorry.
No, hey, listen, I only get to see you maybe once a year, so please talk all you want. It's always a pleasure. So the last thing I want to talk about is we've had a lot of changes happen in the watch industry over the world, especially on the independent side over the last 2-3 years. Do you find it really difficult now with so much demand to manage all this pressure and to manage not only the next models that you have to come out with, right, and you know still come out with a bang, but to also deal with so much demand and the rejection that you have to kind of, unfortunately, people have to experience sometimes and not being able to get a watch. How do you deal with all that? I mean, it's a lot of pressure, right? It's a great problem to have, but at the same time, you have to manage it.
I'll say, honestly, I am and we are completely overwhelmed. The change has been so sudden. From imagine 15 years of touring around the world, trying to find that one or two real independent watch lovers who were resonating on the same wavelength. And that's what we've been doing, all of us, small independents. We were trying to find those people who understood what we were doing, and there was just a handful. And suddenly you go from, in 18 months, from that to, as I was just telling you before, we're trying to keep, like, out of the 40 a year of that piece, we're trying to keep 8 for our Geneva Mad Gallery, and so 20% and 80% for our retail partners, 8 a year. Just the first day yesterday, we took 84 orders on those 8 pieces. That's in less than 24 hours. So that is completely insane. So the first thing, one of the things which defines MB&F is trying to be fair. So trying to be fair is already trying to say thank you to all the people who supported us when the brands were not hot, when you couldn't flip them for more. So clearly we will advantage our existing customers, but we have to open up to other people also. And so we get into this weird situation where suddenly we are supposed to decide who is allowed to buy one of our pieces. I have never wanted to be in that situation. Yeah, I'm grateful to anybody who likes what we do. And suddenly I have to decide that you're worthy, but he's more worthy, or he's less worthy. And it's horrible. It's horrible.
We used to I tell people, we made people happy all the time. Like, we used to work so hard, and when someone used to buy a watch, you know, I've been working with boutique and independent brands for a while. Someone used to buy a watch for me, I was making them happy, and I'm happy. Everybody's happy. That's it, right? And now it seems like I'm making more people unhappy by saying no to a lot of pieces that come out because we simply don't have it. And,
it's got another corollary, to say that in English, corollaire, where as a creator, we used to create enormous amount of new pieces a year. Actually, like virtually 3/4 of our revenue every year was done with products we'd actually launched that year, which was an insanely risky business model. but I enjoyed it a lot because as a creator, that's what I enjoy doing, is creating.
Yeah.
For the rest of my team, it's a little bit more complicated. But now, when we come out with this, imagine the people who are on the perpetual waiting list, the sequential waiting list, the LM101 waiting list, which are years and years in the making. They're like, dude, just make the watch I ordered. Why are you coming out with something new again that even more people will want? Yeah. So there's an enormous pressure now on us not to come up with new products from our customers.
Yeah.
And so basically all the new products we'd planned for the next 4 years, we've diluted the launch calendar to 8 years because it makes no sense. I mean, so basically we're good till 2030. But what have I got to do anymore? I'm unemployed now. Yeah. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do.
Double-edged sword.
So yes, it's wonderful not to have the stress. It's wonderful not to have to travel. I love traveling for pleasure, but not needing to.
You get to plan events like this now. Trade show.
We can sit down. We can sit down and have fun and talk. But creatively, every time I come up with a new idea, my team looks at me like 2031. Like, come on, guys. I'm negotiating with my team. Come on, can we put it like in 2 years, 3 years? Like, no, Max.
Do you almost hope for the market to correct a little bit?
It needs to correct.
Yeah.
What we need is all the speculators out. Now, don't get me wrong. I am very happy if our customers make money selling their watch. It's the most beautiful gift we can give them, that for 15 years they were buying watches thinking they were going to lose their shirt.
Yeah.
And now they can actually make money. Like, wow, you trusted us. You gave us money when you thought you were going to lose it. We now show you that you can actually make it. That's fantastic. Yeah. But what happens is that up till, I'm going to say 2-3 years ago, a person who bought an MB&F or virtually, and you know that, any independent would buy, that person was a crazy lover. Yeah. Meaning it was love, but you had to be a bit crazy to know that you were going to lose money. But it didn't matter. So for every one of those, what happened 2 years ago when you started having secondary market prices close to retail price, I started having 5 pragmatic lovers. Yeah. And these guys, they've always loved MB&F, but they were not ready to lose 20, 30, 50 grand on a watch. Now they're like, you know what, if I don't lose any money, or if I maybe even lose 10 grand after 3 years, it's a lot of money for most people, but for these people it's less. It's, you know what, I want it. So it went from 1 to 5 clients, like overnight. Yeah. That's 5 times the demand. Of course, we didn't produce one more watch. And then the prices started going over retail. And then we had 20 speculators arriving. And these guys were battling to try and not give them watches because they're not the ones who should have them. If they're just buying them for investments they don't have any love. There's no love there. Yeah. So I would like these 20 guys to get the hell out of our world. Yeah. And just have the 5 pragmatic lovers is already 5 times more than we can produce. And that would be great. That's my personal take. I'd probably make a lot of enemies just saying this, but this is
I agree with you. I think there should be some middle ground somewhere, although sometimes it's tough. It's tough in anything that we do in life to have balance. But yeah, no, I agree. We've taken up so much of your time already. Really appreciate seeing you. Really appreciate being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Stay tuned for the next video. Bye.